The story begins with two commanders escorting a trembling young woman before the emperor. "We've brought her here, your majesty," one of them reports. The emperor's calm voice cuts through the silence. "Leave us, at once," the soldier bows. "Yes, sire." But before leaving, he murmurs a saying under his breath, "Nothing ventured, nothing gained." Turning to the woman, he commands, "Get on your knees when you speak to His Majesty the Emperor and bow down low." Inside, the woman thinks desperately, "But I had no idea that following that saying would lead to my death." 3 months earlier, back in the 21st century, a strange disease had begun to spread uncontrollably. Citizens were forbidden from leaving their homes or meeting others. She had only gone out to the convenience store for supplies when, bang, a truck came out of nowhere and hit her. It was a brutal lesson about what happens when you ignore emergency warnings. Never ignore those alert texts, she warns in hindsight. Even though she thought she was dead, when she opened her eyes, she found herself at the bottom of an old well. "Wait, am I trapped inside a well? Somebody please. Help me," she shouted, her voice echoing off the stone walls. But no one came. "I guess no one's around. How is there not a single person nearby? How remote is this place?" She sighed. "Once again, I can only rely on myself." Suddenly, a flicker of light appeared above her. "A light," she whispered. Voices followed. Villagers gathered around. "Where did she come from?" one asked. "What was she doing in the well at this time of night? Is she a spy?" another questioned. "I don't think so," came a doubtful reply. "They managed to pull me up," she thought in relief, coughing as she reached the surface. "She can't even speak properly," one villager said, eyeing her suspiciously. "What's going on?" That's not me. Am I dreaming? There's something wrong with her." Panic swelled in her chest. Another villager asked gently, "Do you remember how you ended up in the well? Or your name, at least?" "Hold on, is this what I think it is?" she realized. Villagers who look like foreigners, dressed in strange clothes, speaking a language I've never heard, yet I can understand them. This must be God taking pity on me and giving me another chance. Gathering courage, she said, "My name is," then thought to herself, "In that case, I'll come up with a cool name that suits this new world." And proudly announced, "Ellenfiela Ruth demortia Irenaeus River Marguerite." The villagers stared in silence. "Oh my," an old man muttered. "You must have hit your head. How sad," another sighed. And so, she became Leffy. Rumors spread quickly. Some believed someone had hit her on the head and thrown her into the well, others that she had simply fallen. But every theory agreed on one thing: she must have hit her head hard. "All I did was come up with a name," she complained inwardly. "I was happy about starting a new life, but there was really nothing to do in this village." So, with curiosity burning inside her, she began gathering information and stumbled upon shocking news. "Did you hear?" a villager whispered. "His Majesty, Emperor Persilian, has been meeting up with that young lady a lot." "Do you think they'll get married?" another replied. "Oh, you mean Lady Regina?" Leffy froze. "Emperor Persilian and Lady Regina?" she gasped. "Wait, please tell me more." "Those two are characters from my favorite novel. The elegant yet straightforward noblewoman, Cyril von Regina, and the infamous emperor known as the Tyrant of Blood, Persilian de Eckhart, an outspoken heroine and a ruthless emperor soft only toward her. They were a perfect match, at least in her eyes. In truth, Persilian wasn't even the male lead. He barely appeared, and they never ended up together in the novel. Still, one good thing came out of this revelation: she had somehow landed inside her favorite novel. So naturally, the next step was obvious. "Hey, please don't cut in line," she shouted as she tried to get her fortune told. "Leffy," the fortune teller scolded, "you must wait your turn if you want your fortune told." But Leffy grinned to herself. "Make money," she thought. "Knowing the story means I know the future of this world." Using her knowledge of the novel, she reinvented herself as a fortune teller. "I can see it. My wealthy future. Money never lets me down." Soon, rumors of Leffy the fortune teller spread across the empire. She was on her way to becoming the richest woman alive until one day, imperial guards dragged her straight to the palace. "His Majesty wishes to know your name," a servant said. "It's Ellenfiela Ruth demortia Irenaeus River Marguerite." "It's Leffy," she stammered. The Emperor's cold eyes fixed on her. Fortune teller Leffy, are you aware of your crimes?" "Damn it," she thought, panicking. "I'll never tell prophecies about the imperial family ever again." "About the imperial family?" the Emperor repeated. "Oh, or about Duke Regina's family," Leffy blurted out. "The Duke?" a servant asked. Oh, or about Marquis Spade's family either," she added quickly. "Aw man," she thought, "if I can't talk about those three, I'll hardly have anything left to tell fortunes about." "Wait, no, who cares? My life is on the line here." A soft, youthful voice broke the tension. "You act as if you are already aware of everything." A child's voice? Leffy wondered. Is there someone else here besides the Emperor and his guards? "I do know quite a lot, yes," she replied nervously. "I see. Sire," the voice called. What's going on? Leffy thought frantically. And then she saw him, brilliant blonde hair, deep red eyes like rose petals dipped in blood. The Emperor known throughout the continent as the Tyrant, Priscillian de Eckhart. But Priscillian looked no older than a child. The little Emperor met her stunned gaze and said calmly, "In that case, tell me when I will be turning back to normal." Leffy's mind went blank. Why is he a child? Leffy's thoughts spun in chaos as realization struck her. So this was why Priscillian hardly appeared in the latter half of the novel? Her eyes widened in disbelief. "I thought he disappeared because he wasn't the love interest. Where's the writer? I need answers." So he stopped showing up because he turned into a kid. The little Emperor's cold voice cut through her panic. "I guess you don't know. Kill her." "Yes, sire," the servant replied immediately, drawing his weapon. "And no, that's not it," Leffy screamed, her voice trembling. The Emperor tilted his head slightly. "I think it is." Panic surged through her veins. "I'll look into how to undo your curse right away, sire." "Please, give me some time," she pleaded desperately. Priscillian raised his hand calmly. 5 weeks? 5 days? 5 hours, he mused coldly. "Hold on. What do I do? I can't just die and leave all the money I made behind," she thought, her mind racing. "You," she blurted, forcing herself to think. "Come on, think of something." "You have to be with me," she suddenly declared. The little king blinked, surprised. "What?" "I cannot tell you right away how such a terrible thing happened to you, sire," Leffy said quickly, trying to sound confident, "but I believe it to be a curse. If you would like me to use my ability to see the future, I must be at your side in order to find out what this is." The boy's sharp red eyes narrowed. "How did you know it was a curse?" Inside, Leffy almost collapsed with relief. "I was just making stuff up, but I guess I was right." "Phew. There is a group of dastardly villains out to get you, sire," she added boldly. A knight nearby nodded. "The aristocracy has been behaving suspiciously, sire." "Thanks, Mr. Knight," she thought gratefully. "You made me think you were scary before, but you totally backed me up there." "You must allow me to stay by your side until I find out more about this curse," she continued, away from the prying eyes of other people. "This will take many days, so I cannot tell you exactly how long it will be, but you must keep me alive. The harder the problem, the longer I must stay nearby in order to find the answer." That should be enough to convince him not to kill me, right? She prayed silently. The little king studied her closely. "You're not just saying whatever you can think of to survive, are you? How am I supposed to trust you? Did you not call me here because of the rumors you heard about Leffy the fortune teller?" His words were sharp, but she took a deep breath and pressed on. "Therefore, I must conclude that your situation is dire. As soon as something happened to you, the court physician must have examined you first, and you must have gone to see the priests at the temple too." She straightened, repeating confidently, "And since none of them were able to help you, you must have asked for me as a last resort, right?" His red eyes glimmered. "Oh man," she thought nervously, if looks could kill, I guess tyrants really are a different breed. Then, at last, Priscillian spoke. Yes. Oh? Judging by his reaction, my guesses must not be that far off. Leffy thought triumphantly. I need to finish this off strong. Actually, she said slyly, I know about what you did a month ago with Lady Regina, Your Majesty. The boy's expression hardened. What? As Lady Regina boarded the ship to be part of a delegation to an allied kingdom, you gave her a bracelet made with red flowers, Leffy explained. There was an event at the Imperial Palace that day, but you snuck out. Everyone wondered, where is His Majesty? And in return, Lady Regina gifted you a pair of cufflinks. Then she raised her voice dramatically. I knew about what had happened to you, but I, Leffy the fortune teller, wouldn't dare impose on your majestic secret. What I just described was a clandestine meeting between Emperor Priscillian and Lady Regina. Only the knight by your side would have known about you sneaking out that day, and there was no way anyone could have overheard the conversation on the ship. You treasured those cufflinks so much that you hid them away somewhere safe and never even wore them. It was my favorite chapter, so I remember it clearly. Upon receiving the flower bracelet, Lady Regina said it was the color of your eyes. And you, sire? That's enough, the little king interrupted, his tone tight. Leffy thought, he must be embarrassed. There's no way I'd forget my favorite couple's moment. She smiled inwardly. That was their last scene together, but I had no idea it was because the emperor had been cursed. It's almost as if you were there, Priscillian murmured suspiciously. Oh yes. You see, my prophecies are usually like that, Leffy said quickly, grinning. I suddenly get a glimpse of a scene in my head. He smiled. She realized with relief. I bet he won't kill me now. Why else would he make such a face? Then the boy spoke softly, Miss Last Resort. Why yes, sire. Your loyal last resort reporting, she saluted nervously. Is that what he's going to call me now? She thought in horror. Then what of the future where I'm alive and you're back to normal? It's still, she stammered. Still, Priscillian pressed. It's still unclear, she admitted weakly. The Emperor's crimson eyes darkened. If it takes you too long to see, your future might become unclear as well. New. Leffy screamed internally, feeling her soul leave her body. Thankfully, Leffy made it out alive. When she had been dragged to the palace, she was certain it would be her end, but somehow she survived. A servant spoke softly, I am the only person who is aware of His Majesty's condition right now. I suppose you are the second, Miss Leffy. Leffy nodded, trying to stay composed. I see. I was assigned to the room right next to the Emperor's bedroom, she explained, and Millard filled me in on the details. It's been 10 days since Emperor Priscillian turned into a child. Just as I expected, they called in the court physician and a priest to examine him, but no one could come up with a solution. Those who saw the younger version of Priscillian were given a potion that erased the past 2 hours of their memory as they left the room. She paused before continuing, her voice low. There are mages in the Eckhart Empire as well, but they weren't called on. Entry forbidden, do not enter on penalty of death. It was mostly because the memory-erasing potion wouldn't have worked on a mage, but that wasn't all. Her expression darkened. First, Priscillian knows how to use magic. He was the most talented mage in the entire empire, and if he was cursed, then there was no way any other mage could help him. On top of that, all mages are registered with the Mage Tower, but that place is currently under Archduchess von Didu's control. Since the Mage Tower and the Archduchess could be behind the Emperor's curse, they wouldn't have been allowed to examine him. The servant replied, after turning into a child, His Majesty lost the ability to use magic. He said it is because he seems to have been returned to the time when he was 4, before his mana had even awakened. When did his mana awaken? Leffy asked. When he was 9. Leffy gasped. In that case, if he just waits for 5 years until he turns 9, then that would be terrible, right? This is why I'm here. To prevent such a tragedy. The servant continued calmly. The Mage Tower and Archduchess von Didu's are the most likely suspects, but since they have yet to do anything even after 10 days, it may be that they don't know when the curse will activate. I see, Leffy said quietly. We're managing imperial affairs for now, the servant explained, but the nobles are starting to ask questions because the emperor suddenly cancelled all of his official appearances. Now that 10 days have passed since any of the servants have seen him, I'm certain rumors are starting to spread. You must be aware of this already, Miss Leffy, but His Majesty has many enemies. Leffy smiled awkwardly. Haha, she knew what he meant. Millard was referring to the blood-stained path Priscillian had taken to the throne. The emperor had killed all 4 of his siblings to secure his rule. The late emperor had suddenly coughed up blood and died of a heart attack right after a private meeting with Priscillian. That was why people called the throne itself blood-stained, a legacy of the current emperor, Priscillian. Sir Millard said, His Majesty believes there must be a clue inside the palace. So we have to find that, Leffy said, determination lighting her eyes. Yes, Millard nodded. Can you see where it is located? Leffy raised her hand, trying to look mystical. It's all so unclear. She groaned dramatically. I can't see a thing. Unbelievable. Millard sighed. For now, we plan to announce that His Majesty has gone on vacation. That should buy us some time to look for this item. Leffy glanced around the palace gardens. Okay, but how did this place get so overgrown? It hasn't been taken care of in a while, Millard replied. Why not? I'm sure it used to be pretty. Yes, Millard said, his tone somber. It was the late emperor's garden, after all. Leffy winced. I shouldn't say such things in front of the person rumored to have poisoned the former emperor. Just then, she noticed Priscillian crouched over a flower pot. She blinked in confusion. What's wrong? The boy looked up. I'm just checking under the flower pot. But why do you have to knock it over? There's no need to look in the same place twice, he said matter-of-factly. I'm making it clear. It'd be a waste of time if we looked in the same places again. Leffy's lips curled into a nervous grin. You are so clever. Priscillian straightened, brushing dust from his hands. I will look as well, he declared. This is my job, he added sharply. You have to see if you can sense the curse. Okay, Leffy replied meekly. He gets to do all the fun stuff, she thought with a sigh. Suddenly, footsteps echoed nearby. Her heart sank. No, Priscillian. Sir Millard's voice boomed. Who goes there? No one is allowed to enter this place without the Emperor's permission. A smooth male voice interrupted. I was on my way to the palace when I heard a commotion here, so I stopped by. I see Philip's greenhouse is being destroyed by hooligans. Leffy froze. The Archduchess, she thought. Only one person in the Empire held that title, Difk von Didus, the late Emperor's older sister. Count Hadart clucked his tongue. My goodness. I cannot believe the late Emperor's once beautiful greenhouse has been so neglected. This place is an important asset of the imperial family. We must hold a meeting of the aristocracy and raise our objections to His Majesty at once. But Difk's calm, elegant voice silenced him. There's no rush, Count Hadart. The whole empire knows that the Emperor is far too busy these days. As his loyal subjects, we should not add to his grievances. He is so occupied that he has no time to make any official appearances. And perhaps that led to him collapsing from overwork. She walked forward gracefully, her eyes sharp. I heard he will apparently be going far away on vacation soon, so I came by to see how he was doing, but now I see that the late Emperor's greenhouse is being destroyed. Her gaze landed on Leffy. And I really don't know who I should be talking to about this matter. Can you tell me what is going on? What is your name? Leffy stammered, Ellenfiela. No, my name is Leffy. Difk smiled faintly. I see. I thought I saw a little boy knocking over the pots in here. I would like to speak with him. Would you step aside, Leffy? He is only a small boy who is acting his age, Leffy said quickly. Please chide me instead. Difk raised a brow. You mean to say that you will take responsibility for destroying my brother's only greenhouse? Count Hadart's eyes widened. You mean the fortune teller? Fortune teller? Difk repeated, intrigued. Oh yes, Hadart said eagerly. She's been the talk of the Empire recently. She tells prophecies on the streets, but they say she's really accurate. She foretold a palace event getting postponed and knew who would win the sword fighting tournament. Diff's smile deepened, but her tone was cold. Is that so? Then what might be the reason for such a popular fortune teller to be in the imperial palace and with a blonde child hiding behind her? Leffy froze as her heart skipped a beat. That's, she thought, her eyes darting toward the small figure clinging to her. It was Priscillian. The little king hugged her tightly, his voice trembling as he whispered, "She's scary." Diff's sharp eyes widened slightly in surprise, though her expression remained composed. Leffy panicked inwardly. It seemed the Archduchess didn't realize that the child before her was Priscillian himself. But what am I supposed to do? She thought desperately. Haddart, studying the boy's face, muttered, "He looks so much like His Majesty." Diff tilted her head. Does he? He's a bit more delicate than the Emperor, Leffy quickly added, forcing a nervous laugh, but they really do look alike. Inside, she breathed a sigh of relief. Clearly, the Archduchess had never seen Priscillian as a child. Haddart frowned. They're so alike. Panic rising, Leffy blurted out, Actually, this boy is the Emperor's child." Haddart's eyes widened. But His Majesty isn't even married. His Majesty had a child out of wedlock, Leffy declared, her voice cracking slightly. Diff's expression softened with intrigue. So this boy, he's the Emperor's, His Majesty's son? Yes, exactly, Leffy said, nodding quickly. The reason I am here is to serve the young the young master. Diff frowned, thinking aloud. I don't believe His Majesty ever had a woman he was interested in. Hold on, is that why he's gone on holiday? Leffy jumped at the chance to add to the lie. That's right. He has gone to meet this boy's mother. But before she could finish, the little king interrupted sharply. Actually, she died. Leffy's eyes widened. So keeping her alive will make things complicated, right? I'll just say she died then. She thought, trying to keep up. Diff's tone grew softer. So the reason His Majesty hasn't attended all of those events these past 10 days. Haddart gasped. Oh my goodness. Diff nodded solemnly. Is because of the sudden arrival of this child and the news of his lover's death? And the reason His Majesty is on holiday is to visit her grave. That's right. You got it, Leffy said, nodding furiously. Why did he leave the boy behind? He said that it's for the boy's own good, she stammered, praying her trembling voice wouldn't give her away. Diff's expression softened. Yes, so he's going to treat his own son the way he was raised himself. Leffy exhaled silently. I guess she believes me. Priscillian, now the little king, looked up at her, his expression unreadable. Huh? Stay still, young master, Leffy said quickly, pretending to fuss over him. There we go. What a good boy. Diff watched them both carefully. What is that boy's, His Highness's name? Leffy froze. Eerie. Prince Perry, she blurted out. Pierre, Diff repeated, raising a brow. Yes, His Highness Prince Perry, Leffy said again, her voice firm this time. Diff finally nodded. All right then, she bent down gracefully and said, Next time, I will greet you properly, Your Highness. Before leaving, she turned and added, Do remember that this is a place you cannot survive in unless you grow up to be strong. Leffy watched her go, thinking, he must like his new name. She turned to Millard with a smile. Oh, Sir Millard. That went well, didn't it? But Millard's face was grave. Miss Leffy, do you have any idea what you've done? Well, she began, but was cut off by the small yet commanding voice of the little prince. Ellenfiela Ruth demortia Irenaeus River Marguerite, he said slowly, each name heavy with meaning. So, is this what you foresaw in your vision? Pardon? Leffy blinked in confusion, her mind spinning. My vision. Exactly, she stammered quickly. That's right. This is perfect. He just has to think that I foresaw all of this. The prince's lips curved into a faint smile. Leffy grinned nervously. I saw a vision of you losing your head. Maybe I can see the future, too. The prince chuckled softly. All right, we'll have to see what your future holds, she said softly. I see. Viscount Julcier leaned forward with a glint of curiosity in his eyes and said, "So the Archduchess has already seen the prince." The man standing beside him nodded. "Yes, that's right." According to Count Haddart, they ran into him in the late Emperor's greenhouse. Julcier's brows furrowed. "But His Majesty has forbidden anyone from entering that place. They said Prince Perry has grown up outside the palace until now. Then he must be incredibly naive. That means I may be able to manipulate the boy into granting me a place at his side. The Emperor left all of the power to a boy who is barely 4 years old. That must mean that he has already decided on his late lover's son as his heir. That tyrant never hesitates to point his sword at his vassals, but it turns out he's quite the romantic. I can't miss this opportunity to influence state affairs." He paused, rubbing his chin with a scheming grin. "What do boys his age like these days?" The man replied carefully. "Since Prince Perry has lived outside of the palace, I imagine he must like ordinary things. So, why not start with something that piques every child's curiosity?" Julcier's lips curled. "Oh ho." 5 days later, in the grand halls of the Imperial Palace, Julcier appeared once again, bowing deeply. "Your Highness, I have brought this for you." But the young prince barely looked at the gift before tossing it aside. Both Leffy and Julcier froze in shock. Leffy sighed and said, "How many presents like this do you think His Highness receives on a daily basis, my lord?" "I'm saying that it's boring," Julcier stammered. "Is that so?" "Yes," Leffy replied bluntly. "So next time, you should bring a rattle covered in pink diamonds." "Pink diamonds," Julcier exclaimed, flustered. "Do you have any idea how expensive pink diamonds? Pink diamonds," Julcier repeated miserably. The prince crossed his arms and said coldly, "They bring me terrible gifts like that, but all you can think about is money." Leffy gasped dramatically. "Your Highness, how could you look down upon me like that? This is all a ruse to show the nobles how sophisticated your tastes are and to keep them from trying to ingratiate themselves with you so easily." "That's my big plan," the prince sighed. "Huh, never mind," Leffy whispered to herself though. He didn't get angry. "I suppose all these changes have tired him out. When I first came up with Prince Perry, Priscillian was very upset." The prince's voice rose sharply. "He said that he was trying to tell me that I should say he's just a relative of mine." Leffy looked away awkwardly. But, she thought to herself, he just looks so different from me that saying we were relatives wouldn't have made any sense. He's just so cute and feisty. I felt wronged, and Priscillian ended up giving me a grace period. But surprisingly, the situation started getting better. No one had any suspicions about the sudden appearance of the prince. Maids often whispered among themselves, "How could he be so different from his father?" one said. Another giggled, "Right? He's just so adorable." And indeed, the fact that he looked exactly like the emperor only made his identity more believable. One maid even thought quietly, "I'm glad nobody seems to have known Priscillian as a kid." Thanks to Leffy's clever storytelling claiming that the poor prince missed his father, the boy was able to continue living in his own bedroom. From then on, Priscillian no longer had to hide within his own palace. Though, of course, there were moments when his patience wore thin. "I'm going to sew your mouth shut," he once shouted. Still, aside from the endless nobles trying to win his favor, things were going remarkably well. Rumors began to spread across the empire, rumors that painted Prince Perry as a tragic figure. The tale went that his mother had gone into hiding, fearing her son would be used as a tool if anyone discovered he was the emperor's child. She hid the boy from everyone, even his father. And when she passed away young, her dear friend, the fortune teller Leffy, could no longer bear the injustice. Out of loyalty and sorrow, she took the boy to the palace to meet his father. Ironically, Leffy hadn't come up with this story at all. It was born from the wild imaginations of servants and nobles. Still, Julcier approached her with wide eyes. "Miss Leffy, is it true that the reason His Highness came to the palace is—" But Count Haddart interrupted hastily. "Oh my, I shouldn't have asked. Forgive me. The memory must still be painful," Leffy simply thought. "All I did was reinforce their delusions." Later, She turned to the prince and said teasingly, "Your Majesty, isn't this much better than those 10 days you spent hiding in your own palace?" He scowled. Thanks to you, I've become a man who had a child out of wedlock. And a piece of garbage who let his lover die. Leffy's heart melted. Even when he's grumpy, he's still cute. Then she gasped. Oh, wait. Is this because of Lady Cyril? What does she have to do with any of this? The prince snapped. She has everything to do with it, Leffy insisted. The novel described Priscillian as taking a liking to Cyril because they had similar childhoods. He could empathize with her. Maybe we can ask her for help when she gets back. Don't involve that girl in this, he replied curtly. Leffy nearly squealed. Eek. He called her that girl. What a sweet way to call her. I knew it. My favorite couple was canon after all. Repeat after me. Canon. Canon. The king's voice echoed through the chamber. It will be a while until Cyril comes back. Are you saying you won't be able to solve this until then? Leffy panicked. And no, of course not. He warned, if I still haven't gone back to normal by the time she returns, you'd better get ready to say goodbye to your head. A servant entered, bowing low. May the Eckhart Empire flourish, Your Highness. The Archduchess has sent you a message. What is it? The prince asked. She says she will be holding a welcome banquet for you, Your Highness. Millet said sternly, You must have more knights to guard you, Your Majesty. The king raised an eyebrow. So you're saying you're too weak? You will be attending an official event as the prince, so you must be wary, sire. I am not confident in my ability to protect you by myself. The young prince simply nodded. Yes, Leffy, watching from the side, sighed softly. Sir Millard has his work cut out for him. Millard added, She says she will be holding a welcome banquet for you, Your Highness. The sudden announcement of the banquet sent the entire palace into a frenzy. Everyone, including Sir Millard, was now working double time to prepare for the grand event. Just yesterday, Leffy had been in one of her usual fits of excitement. Ha ha ha, I see, she had exclaimed. The prince frowned. What kind of nonsense is th? But Leffy cut him off with another laugh. Ha ha ha, I see. Thank you, you may take your leave. Priscillian only sighed in disbelief. Once, when Priscillian came of age, he had become the most powerful mage in the Empire, strong enough to withstand any attack from the nobles. But right now, Prince Perry was only 4 years old and unable to use magic. It was the perfect opportunity for those with ill intentions to strike. Leffy muttered to herself, in other words, Prince Perry needs to have more knights protecting him, but since he doesn't trust anyone, she suddenly dropped to her knees dramatically. Please, sire, she thought, he doesn't want any more people surrounding him. Then she smiled confidently. Don't worry, Sir Millard. I'll help protect His Majesty, the prince finally said. Find a few more skilled knights. Millard nodded at once. Understood, Your Majesty. As they left, Leffy sighed inwardly. He thinks I said that to help him. I can't tell him the truth, it's too humiliating. Well, I guess I helped, and that's all that matters. Though there was a document signed by the emperor that entrusted the prince with all authority, the nobles and citizens alike still struggled to accept it. To them, Prince Perry was just an ordinary child who had grown up outside the palace. How could such a boy handle state affairs? So before the nobles dared to overturn the emperor's decree, the prince needed allies among them. That was why he had agreed to meet a few of them. Yet, since there were too many to greet one by one, Archduchess Diff's idea of hosting a welcome banquet was quickly approved by everyone. A festival was also to be held in the capital so the loyal citizens could celebrate their new prince. But everyone knew the truth. The banquet wasn't to welcome him warmly. It was a trap, a chance for the nobles to flatter the boy and twist him into making decisions in their favor. Leffy thought anxiously. Besides, the Archduchess hasn't come to meet with the prince since that day. I feel like she might have something up her sleeve. There's no way of knowing for now. I guess I should focus on the present. In other words, I should concentrate. Your Highness, Millard's voice interrupted her thoughts. Omen, the tailor, rushed in next. What about this color? I believe red suits you. Another stylist chimed in. Blue seems to suit you as well. We could put you in any color imaginable. They were all fussing over the young prince's appearance for the banquet. This would be his first official event as prince, and he had to look perfect. Omen, the famed designer, beamed with pride. Super popular fashion designer who is impossible to hire. I will make you the greatest outfit you've ever seen, Luffy chuckled. Everyone is so enthusiastic. I suppose when you're dealing with such a cute client. The prince sighed. What do you think, Miss Luffy? Everyone keeps asking for my input. It's hard to choose because everything looks so good on him, Luffy nodded proudly. I agree. Because I was seen as the prince's nanny since I was always by his side. And I didn't mind it either, but the prince quickly frowned. I have no intention of looking cute. Luffy smiled mischievously. Cuteness is your greatest weapon, your highness. Snow white skin and shiny, soft strands of golden hair. Eyes glittering red like rubies, and those pouty little lips. If cherubs were real, this is what they would look like. The prince groaned. You're treating me like a toy doll, Luffy thought to herself. He's a bit more like a fallen angel, but still. You're as pretty and cute as a doll, she said. Her eyes sparkled with excitement. Ugh, I can't resist. I want to dress him up. She began rummaging through the outfits frantically. No, not this. This isn't it either. That's not it either. The prince finally lost patience. If you've lost your mind, get out, but Luffy stood firm. No, I cannot leave until I've found the accent piece that will make you shine. Then she teased, don't tell me you're going to say this was part of your vision too. I'll say it again, Your Highness. Cuteness is your greatest weapon. How many times do I have to tell you I don't want it? The prince snapped. Luffy pleaded, please reconsider, Your Highness. Cuteness triggers a protective instinct. In other words, it increases your chances of survival. When humans see cute little animals, they instinctively want to protect them, right? Elephants think humans are cute, so unless threatened, they don't harm them. They actually try to protect them. The prince's eye twitched. What's your point? Luffy explained passionately right now. The nobles are all waiting for the moment to strike and influence state affairs through you. You can defeat those hyenas with your cuteness, protect your right to the throne, and rule over the empire and beyond. Get out, the prince shouted, his face red. I thought you might have some great plan, but it was this. Get out, Luffy winced. Ow, ow. That mouth of yours is the problem, the prince yelled. Luffy only smiled. But Your Highness, I only speak the truth. There you go again with your lies. Oh, I did study politics, she said cheekily. Then, as she thought to herself, now's my chance. The prince began, what? But her attention drifted suddenly. Oh my goodness, he's a golden kitten, hold on, who brought in all these cute accessories. He might be a kid, but he's still the prince. With the emperor gone, he's the most powerful person in the empire. Who would dare to, she gasped. Who brought in these ears? And just like that, the two of them, an exasperated prince and his overly enthusiastic companion, shared yet another ridiculous moment. We had just met, but we bonded immediately. Get out. Both of you. The prince finally shouted, his patience gone. A few days later, the long-awaited day finally arrived. It was the day everyone, except Persilian, had been anticipating. The day of the grand welcome banquet. The grand banquet hall shimmered under the glow of countless chandeliers. Luffy squinted, her eyes stinging from the overwhelming brilliance. Oh God, my eyes, she thought, silently groaning. The servants of the imperial palace had clearly done their utmost to make this the most luxurious welcome banquet imaginable, as if all the grandeur could hide the emperor's absence. Nobles filled the room, some from the aristocratic society who sought to control the emperor, others loyal to the empire and its ruler. It was obvious that the servants wanted to prove that the emperor was still in power through the extravagance of this event. Ironically, the aristocrats would also find satisfaction in this grandeur, for the more powerful the throne appeared, the more influence they could exert over it. Turning to the young prince beside her, Luffy murmured, Your Highness, you should really look for a loyal noble to rely on tonight. But the prince's tone was firm as he replied, I will do no such thing. She sighed. Oh, come on. It's not a bad idea to get closer to a few nobles in order to get a closer look at the aristocracy. Persilian de Eckhart, the young crown prince, trusted no one but himself. The only noble he'd ever been close to was Cyril von Regina. He had survived this long solely through his own intelligence and magical talent. Yet now, Leffy thought, perhaps it was time for him to gather loyal vassals, those who could stand by him as he grew into his power. But the prince shook his head. A noble who would swear fealty to a kid can't be trustworthy. Guess so, Leffy muttered. He glanced at her sharply. And shouldn't you be looking for the cursed item instead of asking me to find a loyal subject? She smiled nervously. I think the search would go much more smoothly after you've gathered a group of trusty vassals and secured your standing. He cut her off coldly. Never mind. Then, a noble stepped forward with a bow. Glory be to Eckhart. I have prepared a small gift for you, Your Highness, to welcome you to the palace. That's not necessary, the prince said, his voice even. It isn't my birthday, nor is it a national holiday. The noble smiled tightly. It is only a small welcome present. Small gifts are always followed by requests, the young ruler said calmly. If you really want to welcome me, you can aid me while my father is absent. Leffy blinked. I thought I just saw him make a really weird face, she thought. Around them, whispers began to spread. If His Highness keeps maturing in such a way, the future of the empire looks bright. I can already see his potential as a wise ruler. Leffy's eyes softened. Prince Perry is already in charge of the empire's future as Emperor Persilian de Eckhart 21. Here we go, she thought. A woman in elegant attire stepped forward, her voice filled with formality. Your Highness, I'm finally able to greet you officially. This was Difk, the sister of the late emperor. Though the prince had no vassals, many nobles believed she would act as regent, for surely a 4-year-old child couldn't bear the empire's burdens alone. Difk bowed gracefully. I apologize for not showing you the appropriate amount of respect when we first met. The prince waved it off. It's fine. Don't apologize. You must be so overwhelmed by the sudden burden placed on your shoulders, she continued softly. The passing of your mother must have been difficult on its own, but now His Majesty, your father, is absent as well. Please let me know if it all becomes too much for you, Your Highness. I am your family, after all. Leffy thought quickly, that's right. Difk is the sister of the late emperor, so she'd be his great-aunt. Thank you, great-aunt, the prince said with a polite smile. But I will try to make it work on my own. Thank you for being so familial with me, Your Highness, Difk replied. If ever you need me, I will be here for you as your great-aunt. That's very reassuring, the boy said, his tone gentle but sharp. But I heard that you said this to my father. If you want to survive, don't rely on anyone but yourself. All you have to offer is your imperial blood, so use that to your advantage. And didn't you say last time that I won't survive unless I grow up to be strong? Leffy froze. It's gotten really hard to breathe. Difk's face stiffened, her voice faltering. Ha ha ha, I believe you will do very well, Your Highness. The prince smiled faintly. Talking to the Archduchess is exhausting. Then talk to me instead, Your Highness, Leffy offered with a grin. Talking to you gives me a headache, he replied dryly. She puffed her cheeks. Okay, 1 cold glass of lemonade, please. Yes, miss, a maid answered quickly. Leffy handed the drink to him. Some lemonade for you, Your Highness. It helps with headaches. The prince wordlessly snatched it. She blinked. Sir Millard? She thought as the night approached. You can take your leave, Millard ordered a soldier. No, please, the soldier cried. What's all the commotion about? Millard wondered. The prince looked over. What's going on? One of the knights we picked to stand guard tripped on the stairs outside and hurt his leg, Millard explained. I told him to go home, but he insists on staying by your side, Your Highness. Such impressive loyalty, the prince said. The soldier bowed low. It is only a twisted ankle. Please allow me the honor of guarding you till the end, Your Highness. But Millard's eyes narrowed. You have a different sword. I saw you with another one earlier today. Pardon? It is the same sword, the soldier stammered. Luffy squinted. Is it different? It looks the same to me. Fine, the prince said finally. Thank you, the soldier replied with relief. Quiet down, the prince ordered. His expression darkened slightly, a shadow flickering in his eyes. Your Highness, did something happen? Luffy began, but she was abruptly interrupted. Your Highness, a loud voice boomed across the hall. I am so glad to hear that you have returned to the palace in good health. I am Viscount Glumavera. You must have had such a hard time growing up outside of the palace. You lost your mother at such a young age, and His Majesty left you here all alone as soon as you arrived. What a heartless father. If it is all right with you, Your Highness, you may call me father instead. Luffy froze, her lips twitching. Ooh. From the crowd, whispers rippled like a wave. Look at this guy. He just got a ticket for the express train to hell. Luffy found herself unable to believe that Glumavera had just insulted the Emperor as a heartless father right in front of Persilian, then demanded the prince call him father. She mused that she hadn't even heard of his family, meaning he was likely from outside the capital, and worried that such people tended to be erased from the story, hoping he would survive. Glumavera, oblivious to the danger, loudly proclaimed that he, too, had grown up without a proper father figure and could relate to His Highness better than anyone, but the king abruptly ordered him to leave. Whispers immediately spread among the crowd about the Countess' heinous rumors concerning His Majesty, calling him a heartless monster who would slaughter people easily. Glumavera, still attempting to stand tall, declared he would protect the prince himself, like a tree able to withstand any storm, before stammering when the prince suddenly shouted for a sword. Luffy instantly thought the Viscount's life was over. The king nervously handed the prince a sword. Luffy tried not to laugh, wondering how the child planned to kill the man, only for the prince to shout, "Draw that sword. And kill yourself with it." Luffy found the command ingenious. The surrounding people whispered that he was truly like father, like son. Luffy was suddenly halted by a realization. The king was actually there, and he spoke, warning Glumavera that insulting his father in front of him was no different from insulting the throne. Glumavera desperately pleaded that it was not his intent, but the king coldly replied that if he hadn't known his words would come across that way, he should have kept his mouth shut. Realizing how bad the situation was, Luffy interjected, suggesting His Highness shouldn't spill blood on such a happy occasion. The prince insisted the man had insulted him, no, his father. Luffy acknowledged that Glumavera had insulted the Emperor without realizing who he was speaking to, but agreed the Viscount had behaved too rashly by telling a child about his father's notoriety. She gently suggested that it wouldn't look good to be so violent when everyone was there to welcome him, and asked him to forgive the Viscount just this once, since he was so generous. Glumavera begged for forgiveness. Luffy then whispered a suggestion in the prince's ear. The prince, with an oh-ho, agreed that this was not the time for spilling blood and let the Viscount live. In exchange, the prince commanded that from now on, whenever Glumavera spoke, he must bark at the end of every sentence so everyone would know what a dog he was. When Glumavera stammered, the prince threatened to remove his head, causing the Viscount to yelp his thanks and attempt a pitiful arf, arf. The prince deemed arf too cute and changed the order to woof instead, with the Viscount repeating a miserable woof woof. The prince commanded everyone gathered to report it if Viscount Glumavera failed to add woof woof to his sentences. Announcing he needed fresh air, the prince accepted Luffy's company, dismissing her offer to leave him alone by stating he didn't trust her to not let something slip in front of the nobles. Luffy defended her loyalty, which the prince scoffed at, reminding her she was only there because he had threatened to kill her. Luffy couldn't deny it, thinking she might confess everything if the nobles kidnapped her and tried to kill her. She recalled the woof woof command, thinking it was both cute and horrible, confirming the prince was exactly like his father. She noted how every one of Prince Perry's actions was being watched and judged by the nobles, who were clearly wary of the throne. She admired the prince's strength in securing the throne by keeping the nobles at bay with only a few loyal knights, finding his constant vigilance tiring. The prince responded that it wouldn't be tiring if she hurried up and took care of the curse, to which she replied the future was still shrouded in darkness. She offered a shoulder massage, which he refused. Leffy noted that he must be getting sleepy, observing that Persilian tended to get tired more often in a child's body, and retaining an adult's mind seemed to be exhausting him further. She remembered he had started dozing off when they were dressing him up, which she found cute, and suggested he return to his room to sleep. The little prince, however, cried out that he couldn't leave his own welcome banquet early. Leffy insisted he was still a baby and everyone would understand, suggesting they go beddy-bye. The prince yelled at her not to treat him like a baby, but Leffy, observing how sleepy he was, insisted they return to his room. The prince huffed, then rejected her offer to carry him. After a brief argument, she simply told him, "Let's go back." The prince suddenly ran towards something, shouting about a sword, causing Leffy to think, "The sword? Watch out." Leffy barely had time to react when the sound of a sudden explosion tore through the air. "Watch out, Your Highness," she cried, throwing herself toward the prince. The prince staggered, his voice sharp with shock. "You, foolish." For a moment, Leffy thought it was over. The deafening blast had left her ears ringing, and pain spread through her body. "Are you insane? Do you wish to die?" the prince shouted, kneeling beside her. "Get me some water and a towel." The servant stammered yes and rushed off in panic. "Oh, ow, ow," Leffy groaned, clutching her arm. "Don't move," the prince ordered, his tone cold but steady. As he pressed a cloth against her wound, Leffy couldn't help but wonder, is he punishing me for not getting out of the way? Moments later, Millard entered the room, face grim. "Your Highness." The cause of the explosion really was the gem on the sword hilt. Judging by its blast radius, it's very likely an explosive artifact. The knight who was carrying it died instantly. "You said that knight went outside earlier," Millard continued. "And he twisted his ankle on his way back, that's right." The prince frowned. Someone may have cast a mind control spell on him. "That's enough for now. Go and help take care of the aftermath." "Yes, Your Highness," the knight replied. Leffy watched silently. The explosion was localized near the balcony. They were trying to kill the prince. This was supposed to be his welcome party. But even after finding out that someone tried to assassinate him, he's barely reacting. As if he's used to people wanting him dead. "I've never met someone as strange as you," the prince muttered, glancing her way. "You should have run when you were in danger. Why would you come to me when I have your life in my hands?" Leffy gave a faint smile. "I guess I was sure that you wouldn't die." His eyes narrowed. "What does that mean?" "If you weren't going to be killed by the explosion," she said softly, "then I'd surely lose my head for trying to save myself. In other words, you're a bigger threat to me than that explosion, Your Highness. I'm a very calculating person, you know." The prince scoffed. "You're so strange. Thank you for worrying about me. You should have injured your mouth instead." The prince's welcome banquet ended in chaos. The nobles were interrogated, the injured treated, and mages from the tower investigated the scene, though they found nothing. To protect Prince Perry, extra knights were stationed near his palace. That night, while tension hung thick in the air, Leffy made a bold decision. She would infiltrate Persilian's room. She crept through the corridors and pushed open the heavy door. "Let's sleep together, sire," she said with a straight face. "Are you insane?" the prince exclaimed. "We have to be on guard until we find out how that explosive artifact was brought here," Leffy reasoned. "If anything happens, I have to grab you and run." "I told you not to treat me like a baby." "I'm simply speaking the truth, sire," she replied calmly. "In that body, you won't be able to run very quickly. Sir Millard will guard outside, and I'll guard you in here." Sir Millard agreed to it as well. "I haven't agreed," the prince snapped. "Oh, you don't get a vote, sire," Millard called from outside. "Get out," the prince barked. "Thank you for giving me permission," Leffy said cheerfully. "Don't worry, sire. I'm really good at running. Just a few hours ago, I managed to leap to your aid, didn't I?" "And you got hurt." Sure, but I didn't die. He began, but Leffy interrupted with a grin. Also, if I get hurt, you'll just patch me up again, right? Moments later, a man burst into the room. Your Highness, the mages are here. That was fast, the prince said sharply. Heal this injury at once. Pardon? We're here to investigate the explosion. Did you not hear me order you to heal this injury? Oh, of course, Your Highness, Leffy chimed in quickly. Thanks to him, 3 mages healed her. It wasn't even a fatal wound, she thought, but it's nice to be healed anyway. The prince's gaze softened slightly. You'll get yourself killed if you keep acting like that. I'll try to avoid that then, she replied lightly. Besides, the nobles think of us as a set anyway. If you purchase Prince Perry, you get a fortune teller too. She sighed. There's a rumor that I might have a special ability. If you're ever in danger again, they might target me first, or torture me to death. So please let me stay under Sir Millard's protection. He's the only knight you trust. Truthfully, Leffy wasn't worried about herself. She was worried about Persilian. It wasn't just that he'd been in danger, it was the way he seemed so used to it, as though this kind of night was nothing new. I'll just hold your hand, I promise, she murmured. I'm actually a really heavy sleeper. Then you won't be able to protect me at all, the prince retorted. Sounds like I'll have to wake you. That would be great, but just kidding, she said quickly. I wake up fast if someone's nearby. And since you're a light sleeper, you just have to wave your hand in my face. I'll wake up, grab you, and run. His brows furrowed. How did you even know I'm a light sleeper? Because I read it in the novel, she thought in panic. You're very sensitive to noise, she stammered. So I guessed. I'm glad I was right. Persilian had always been a light sleeper, so much that even a whisper could wake him. Leffy once thought it was just his personality. Now she understood. It was because he'd lived his whole life surrounded by danger. So, why did you drag that over here? He asked, watching her pull a blanket closer. I'll sleep here, she said. I'll stretch my arm out, so please just hold my hand. And turn off the lights. Seriously? Come up here. Pardon. I'm telling you to sleep on the bed. It's big enough. I am a woman of modesty, sire. If you're going to spew nonsense like that, get out. She blinked in disbelief. The Persilian who trusts no one is letting me sleep next to him? Ooh, it's so soft. Hold my hand, sire, she whispered. Being this close is more than enough, he said. If we're in danger, I'll wake you. I wanted to hold his little baby hand, she thought wistfully. I said no, stop. He sighed, lowering his hand near hers. I'm just placing it closer so you can wake me more easily. If you have nightmares, you can hold it too. You're treating me like a baby again, he blurted. Leffy smiled softly. I'm your last resort, right? Grab hold of me whenever you like. The prince sighed, his patience wearing thin. Huh, who did you say the next noble was? It's Count Marhen's and, his daughter, Leffy replied, trying to stifle a laugh. Stop laughing, he warned, eyes narrowing. I didn't laugh, she said quickly, though her lips trembled. But it's just so funny, she thought, biting her lip to keep from laughing. A few hours ago. She remembered the earlier encounter vividly. Millard had stood before the prince with an unusually proud expression. May House Eckhart flourish, Your Highness. This is my daughter. A tiny girl stepped forward, bowing deeply. Hello, Your Highness. Why did he bring his kid? Leffy wondered. Did something happen? Now that I see you two together, she began. Your Highness, Millard interrupted enthusiastically, you and my daughter seem to make a wonderful pair. Leffy turned away, shaking with silent laughter. Don't laugh, don't laugh. Oh no, you suit each other so well. After that incident, Millard explained, Your Highness, at the welcome banquet, the nobles judged you to be bright and clever, and so they all began to scheme with only one thing in mind, marriage. Leaning toward the prince's ear, Leffy whispered, I shall take my leave, Your Highness. Farewell, Your Highness. Pfft, haha. The prince groaned. Stop laughing. After going through several such meetings, I managed to stop laughing, but it's still so funny. Millard, unbothered, continued, but at least Count Marhens used to be vice-captain of the Imperial Guard in the past. Don't you think he'll be able to help with the investigation? Leffy asked. He is one of the Archduchess's vassals, the prince replied flatly. So he won't be of any help then, Leffy concluded. The explosion incident still loomed over everyone's thoughts. The knight who had carried the explosive was killed instantly, leaving no clues about who had orchestrated the attack. With only 3 guards on duty that night, Millard among them, manpower had been too thin to properly secure the grounds. And the knight who died was in charge of patrolling outside, Leffy explained. So we have no way of knowing who he ran into. Though this happened because he didn't have enough people, Millard took it to heart and felt responsible. He's putting together a proper guard regiment now, even holding tryouts. Having a few more skilled knights would definitely be reassuring, she added. A knock echoed at the door. Count Marhens will be arriving soon. He's bringing his daughter, who is 5 years old, Your Highness, Leffy said playfully. I don't care, the prince muttered. You never know what the future holds, she teased, so you should take a good look. If I do, I'd be a madman. She's only 5, he snapped. Technically, she's older than you. You're just 4. Shut up. Leffy blinked. I think he told me to shut up, but it feels like he just cursed me. I thought he couldn't use magic. If you're just going to keep spewing nonsense, you can leave and rest, the prince said coldly. I really am all better now, sire, Leffy insisted. Do you really think an injury from an explosion can heal that quickly? Persilian mentioned it often, magic couldn't completely heal internal wounds. Magic can't fix everything, he thought grimly. I really am fine, Leffy said with a soft smile. You must be overprotective of me, sire. I'm sending you away because you're noisy, he muttered. The door opened again. May House Eckhart flourish, a man greeted. A small girl followed, her voice trembling. F. Flourish. Thank you for visiting me. The long trip must have been exhausting. Leffy leaned close to the prince and whispered, Your Highness, yet another little lady just fell in love with you. I told you not to tell me these things, he muttered, trying to remain composed. I was worried about you, but I'm glad to see you're well, Your Highness, the man said. Yes, the prince replied curtly. It hurts, Leffy whispered under her breath, watching the little girl's awkward attempt at charm. Are you all right, Daisy? The man asked, turning to his daughter. Look at her, Leffy thought. Trying her best, even though he's ignoring her. But compared to those other young ladies who threw themselves at him, she's calmer. Maybe it's because she's a year older. One of the others practically cried when he ignored her. Daisy's not giving up, though. Leffy smiled kindly. Which cookie is tastier? Oh, the chocolate chip cookie is good. It's as sweet. Your Highness, which cookie should I eat? The little girl asked eagerly. Whichever one you want, the prince replied. If you don't pick one for me, I won't be able to choose. Oh, haha, just pick one, Daisy, the man said awkwardly. I can't, unless His Highness tells me which one. The prince sighed. Eat the chocolate chip cookie. Okay, here. You can have some too, Your Highness, the girl said brightly, holding out the cookie. He ignored her. Leffy thought with mild horror. The little girl puffed up her cheeks. You. Oh no, Your Highness. Watch out, Leffy shouted, lunging forward. Did I just catch it? Great catch, she thought, holding up the cookie fragment triumphantly. Daisy's unbelievably weak throw turned into an unexpected trick shot. Your Highness, this is from your guest, Leffy said, handing him the piece. The man paled, turning away in shame. Daisy, you can't do that. Please don't. He bowed deeply. I'm so sorry, Your Highness. My daughter is still too young and immature. Please blame me for this. Of course, the prince said. Pardon. He straightened, his gaze icy. You didn't tell her to behave before stepping inside this room. Seconds, you didn't keep an eye on your immature child. You must take responsibility for both of these, he said coolly. Leffy hid her face, trying not to laugh. Maybe Bark Bark would be good this time, she thought.
Behind every video are sleepless nights and countless hopes. Your one subscribe isn't just support, it's a heartbeat that keeps our dream alive. Please subscribe. Your one click can change everything.